What are we doing today? I haven't been able to stream because I have too much real life shit going on. Way too much real life shit going on. Doing school. You know, this is the first year of my life, actually, not just in college, but my first year of my entire life where I decided I'm going to do every single assignment in every single class. I'm not going to do the calculus of, you know, can I afford to miss this grade and get a 0 on this one? I mean, it's a participation grade. You know, I'm trying to do every single assignment for the first time ever. And hey guys, it sucks. I hate school. All right. Between that and work, it's just been too much for me to be able to stream. But we're gonna catch up now. 1 second, getting some messages from. Oh, okay. Editor sent me something, but just something that I agree with. Wait, why was I mentioned? That's why. Let's look real quick at our content suggestions that you guys have sent me. Oh, I just realized the waiting thing is there. Alrighty. What do we have on content suggestions? That was last stream. Damn, has it really been? When were these sent? Oh my God, Jesus. It's been nearly a full week since I've streamed. It's over for me, guys. I am going to join the ranks of failed streamers that Chud Logic and Destiny and all those people make fun of. Let's see here. Biggest feud of 2024. We'll see how long that is. Pause. Oh, come on. Are we back? It said that my stream cut out for a second. Are we back? Okay, so we got biggest YouTube feud of 2024. How's it going, Ridley in YouTube chat? Watch this on stream? What did I do? Why is it so quiet? About it, maybe I am. God, maybe I am a misogynist. It's very irritating hearing her talk about it. Maybe I am. God, maybe I am a misogynist. No, I'm right. They're wrong. Anyways, it's very irritating. That's so true. I am always correct over a woman. All right. Let's see. Where else? What else do we got going on with the content suggestions? We've got why the United States is so much larger today than it was in 2023. Ooh, water territory. How exciting. Maybe we'll watch this. We'll throw that in the That's not what I wanted. There we go. You're an academic weapon though. Good work. Listen, I'm not a good academic. My mom, always my strongest advocate, is trying to get me to go for a master's after I'm done with the bachelor's degree. And let me tell you something, folks. It's I'm really good at learning things, and I am an engaged learner, but I am a horrible student. I am a horrible student. I am so bad as a student. When I made that joke earlier about like doing the calculus on what assignments I could miss in order to get through, when I tell you I've done the literal bare minimum, this is okay. I don't want to jerk myself off, all right, because this is either a really good thing or a really bad thing or a mixture of the two, right? Where I'm either really, really smart or I'm really, really stupid, and I don't know which it is. But my entire life, I have never done any, and when I say any, I literally mean I have never turned in homework assignments. I have just taken, like, I have looked at like the percentages, like, you know, like 50-60% of your grade is based off of the exams, and 20% is showing up the class, and then, you know, 15% is this and 5% is that, right? I'll look at those lower percentages and say, like, what do I need to get you know, a 7, like, what do I need to like just like get the, you know, get the credit? And then I will ignore literally anything except for the exams and major projects. And I mean, since I was in middle school, All right, since I was in middle school. One of my biggest heists to get around doing big projects was in 7th grade. We had to. This was when 3D modeling was just being able, like just a new technology that people had access to in their homes, right? Like before you had to have like a really, high powered computer and have a program and all that. But Google had their own 3D modeling app, whatever, right? And in 7th grade, they were like, hey, we're doing this big Texas history project. Everybody, like we'll split up into groups, and one of the people in that group can use Google 3D model animator to make an old Western town, right? And it has to have at least 3 cows, and it has to have at least 4 buildings, and a saloon, and all this stuff. And I never did it. I bought a flash drive. I bought a flash drive the night before. I brought it to school, and as I got out of the bus, I dropped it on the ground, and I stomped on it with my heel to make it look like an accident. And then I went to that teacher's room before school started, and I had this broken, never used, brand new USB drive that was like 4 gigabytes, right? Probably cost $50 because I had to make it convincing, right? Showed to him like, Mr. Darnell, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This was because it was the last day of school too, right? And I don't know why they were having us, like, thinking back, why the fuck would they have us turn something in on the last day of school? But yeah, he was just like, listen, hey, Walt, listen, I've seen how engaged you were in class, and I've seen that you were like being a leader in your group, and I believe that you did this. Between you and me, I'm going to give you an 80 on this. You can never tell anyone that I'm doing this, though. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. God, I'm such a manipulative. But yeah, so when I say I went to extreme lengths to avoid doing homework up to this point, I went to extreme lengths to avoid doing homework up to this point. So that's changed. That's why the streaming schedule is so, 14,700 uncommitted votes so far. What does that mean? Are we talking about Michigan? Isn't Michigan uncommitted because of Biden, because of Israel? Oh, gotcha. Do they have Democratic Party? Uncommitted. Well, that's because, isn't Michigan like the largest, doesn't Michigan have the largest Arabic community in the United States? Marianne Williamson still getting 2,400 votes, dude. And then Dean Phillips. Who the is Dean Phillips, bro? Wait, is Cenk Uygur not even on there? U.S. government is shutting down. Yeah, I heard about that. We'll go over that here in a minute. I've been keeping up with the news a little bit since I've been busy, right? Like I've been working and doing school, so I haven't been able to keep up with like all of the drama that's been going on in the space. I haven't been able to keep up with all of the politics or like what everything means or where everything is at. But the general impression that I have, and maybe we're supposed to have a conversation with this Mind of Z guy here in a little bit, because he was in chat and he wanted to talk about my title. He's on Naturalized Citizen. I thought that he was like fighting that, and there was like, I don't know. The most recent videos I posted are the most relevant. Gotcha. Content suggestions. Go back to that. Let's scroll all the way down. Oh, 1 second. We're almost certainly going to have to talk about the guy setting himself on a fire outside of the Israeli embassy. I've heard about this Noah Samson video. We'll almost definitely watch that. And just about a couple of seconds ago, someone recommended this Wilbur Soot responded to the allegations. I've never heard of Wilbur Soot. And this is a new person that has already left the Discord. So why the would I watch this video if they're going to come in here, ask me to watch something on their stream or on my stream? Isn't that a YouTuber? I've never heard of him. The video, wait 1 second. There's a, okay, I see it right here. Research agency debunks Israel's lies about infamous hospital bombing. Wasn't there? It's 2 days ago. Why are they still talking about this? There is no forensic evidence that they could possibly show the bomb. Like the only this is all I can say when it comes to the hospital bombing. That crater was so small I couldn't fit my dick into it. Meanwhile, the bombs that that Israel drops are like catastrophic monster bombs that leave huge craters in the ground. Why the are people still debating this? What is, oh no. Monster bombs. I'm just finding a descriptor, okay? Hello? Nair? Did you just link me a virus or something? Why is it not loading? Oh no. Streaming is such a hard job. This poor streamer was live for just 10 minutes and it was I just don't know if I want to watch things that I don't have immediate answers for. I tried making it a trend, but no one else wanted to do it. Oh, they're cowards. Oh, they're cowards. One less tanky voter? I'm sorry. Tanky voter? Brother, choose one. These don't vote. Okay. We'll watch this, I guess. We'll see what these guys have to say.
Take a call.
Hello, this is Mitch from Houston.
Mitch from Houston.
From
What's
Houston?
on your mind?
That's my city.
Hey, I guess this is somewhat of a, I don't know, galaxy brain take, but when we were looking at the hospital bombing from early in the Israel's assault, the Al-Hi hospital.
Yes, there's been some new information that's come out about that. Go on.
Yeah, I saw Ryan Grimm posted something about it.
Yes.
Anyways, it reminded me of everyone's favorite topic, the early COVID, when people had these death tolls that were, you know, a couple 100,000 maybe, and people were, you know, in the maybe more reactionary media were all aghast, like, oh, we couldn't possibly reach that high, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And at this point, we're past 1 million deaths, and nobody seems to even comment on it. And it's gas, like, oh, you know, in the maybe more reactionary media were all aghast, like, oh, we couldn't possibly reach that high, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And at this point, we're past 1 million deaths, and nobody seems to even
1 million dead? What the? What? Wait, what is the population of Gaza? Population of Gaza. Okay, that seems not true. That doesn't seem like nearly enough people. I thought it was like 3 million, right? Okay. 2.3 million. Millions dead. They've killed half the population. They're approaching the 1 million mark based off of literally what? Gaza death. He's saying the media downplayed COVID deaths early in the pandemic. Okay, hold on. Maybe I missed what he was saying. Hold on. Let me rewind. Sorry.
It reminded me of everyone's favorite topic, the early COVID, when people had these deaths.
Sorry, I missed him say COVID. I was about to say, how the is he getting this number of 1 million people dead?
Tolls that were, you know, a couple 100,000 maybe, and people were, you know, in the maybe more reactionary media were all aghast, like, oh, we couldn't possibly reach that high, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And at this point, we're past 1 million deaths, and nobody seems to even comment on it. And it's the same thing with this hospital assault.
That's a great analogy.
where they bombed this hospital, and now it's gotten to the point where civilian infrastructure, especially hospitals, have been completely, I mean, there's nothing left as far as I know. I mean, and it's not even commented on. Like,
know, that's doing
hospital.
As far as I know, man, if that's not doing the most legwork I've ever heard in my entire life, holy shit. As far as I know, there's nothing left in Gaza. Yeah, as far as you know, you don't seem to know a whole lot.
We said, oh, it's impossible that Israel would bomb a hospital without good reason, you know. And now it's to the point where no one even says anything. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's just how it is. I don't know.
Well,
I mean, what?
Yeah, I mean, we'll say something here. We'll put this up because we'll
say
are
something
on point
we're brave.
here. This is an analysis that was done by Forensic Architecture, and they've had a good track record in the past where they do these kinds of wartime forensics. This is the thread that was released and the research that was released over the weekend, I guess on Friday, actually. Our latest findings in the Al-Ali hospital blast. Using 3D trajectory analysis, we dispute the Israeli military's claim that the hospital was struck by a misfiring Palestinian rocket from a salvo of 17, with most of the damage caused by unspent rocket propellant. Our analysis shows that all 17 rockets traveled 1.8 to 2 kilometers at 500 to 630 meters per second and stopped flaring at 1 kilometers altitude, 4 kilometers west of Al-Ali, according to an aerospace expert. These figures indicate that all rockets would have finished burning their propellant while still in mid-flight. These recent findings follow our previous analysis, which debunked claims made by an Israeli spokesperson about 2 videos he alleged showed the rocket responsible for the hospital blast. The devastating explosion at Al-Ali hospital has come to epitomize the information war surrounding Israel's post-October 7th invasion of Gaza. Using our 3D model, we will continue to track the dynamic airspace over Gaza to challenge key pieces of Israeli disinformation. So we still don't have a smoking gun that indicates that it was an Israeli bomb. But this is yet another claim about that particular explosion at the outset of their assault on Gaza, where they've now...
Hold on. I'm sorry. I want to read it as she reads it, because I don't know what she said that, like...
Hospital blast. Using 3D trajectory analysis, we dispute the Israeli military's claim that the hospital was struck by a misfiring Palestinian rocket from a salvo of 17, with most of the damage caused by unspent rocket propellant. Our analysis shows that all 17 rockets traveled 1.8 to 2 kilometers at 500 to 630 meters per second and stopped flaring at 1 kilometers altitude, 4 kilometers west of Al-Ali, according to an aerospace expert. These figures indicate that all rockets would have finished burning their propellant while still in mid-flight. These recent findings follow our previous analysis, which debunked claims made by an Israeli spokesperson about 2 videos he alleged showed the rocket responsible for the hospital blast. The devastating explosion at Al-Ali hospital has come to epitomize the information war surrounding Israel's post-October 7th invasion of Gaza.
What I can't understand, and I don't think I'll ever understand this, is people trusting random organizations over literally anyone else. Like, I'm not saying that you have to trust Israel on whether or not they committed an egregious sin. I'm not saying that you have to immediately just trust them, right? Areas must be connected. Oh, gotcha. But like, if this was something that could be verified in any easy way or in any like factually consistent way, don't you think maybe for just a goddamn second, don't you think that the mainstream news... Now, I know what their answer is going to be. Obviously not. They wouldn't trust the mainstream news for this. Why would we trust the mainstream news? Well, because they have even by common criticisms. Sorry, I shouldn't just like immediately assume everyone's position, but I know what these people's position is and why it is. But like, even by common criticisms of the news media, right? They have a financial incentive. They have a financial incentive to get out news as soon as it's fresh, to be the first ones on the scene, to be the first ones to give breaking news. They have a financial incentive to do that, right? And yet, even when this information is being put out there, freely available for everyone to look at, for some reason, the mainstream news media isn't trying to be the first one on the scene, the first ones to verify this and come out and say, yes, look, we've caught them red-handed. For some reason, that is just completely absent. It's just completely absent. And nobody thinks twice about it. They're just like, oh, okay, Israel is bad, and this seems to confirm that Israel is bad, so we're going to continue saying that Israel is bad. And that seems to be the beginning and end of it, doesn't it? It doesn't seem like they actually care what actually happened. They have no desire for a truth claim. What they desire is to be perpetually right in their analysis of shit that they can't confirm. I don't know.
Using our 3D model, we will continue to track the dynamic airspace over Gaza to challenge key pieces of Israeli disinformation. So we still don't have a smoking gun that indicates that it was an Israeli bomb. But this is yet another claim about that particular explosion at the outset of their assault on Gaza, where they've now...
Mind of Z is here. He wanted to talk. As soon as... Let's give this like another 2 minutes to see if this is entertaining, and then if not, then we'll start our conversation.
As you say, Mitch, they have destroyed or damaged every hospital in the Gaza Strip, and they clutch their pearls at that moment. Even that original case, the information that came out, the forensics make it clear that they were not being truthful about the information that they released. And if you recall, they released audio that purported to show the Hamas attackers plotting this hospital false flag or whatever.
Stuff they've been fabricating, literally. It's not just that thing that they were wrong.
And to be clear, I don't know about that specific claim if Israel has done that. If they have, it's really stupid. But that doesn't prove that Israel did do it. Maybe they're just like very, very, very intent on covering their asses on everything. Like, that is just as reasonable a read of the situation as what they're saying. You know, I don't know why everything is immediately just like, oh yeah, no, for sure. Like, they did it. Israel did it. The Palestinians could do no wrong. Yeah, October 7th happened, and it was based. And if I don't want to say that it's based, then it was at least, understandable. And because it was understandable, I'm just going to repeat all of the claims ad nauseum that they say, because Israel can't be trusted. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, literal hoaxes.
That was disproven within hours, and they had to take it down because it was just not actually what was being discussed. I mean, they're quantity over quality with the propaganda, but as you say, everyone took it at face value and moved on.
But like, there's so much ambiguity in a situation where ambiguity only helps guilty party. That's true, but I don't feel like it is that ambiguous. Like, after everything is said and done, I don't feel like it is that ambiguous whatsoever. Maybe I'm just like gigasoy. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I feel like it is pretty cut and dry that it wasn't actually Israel. It doesn't seem to match up with any of Israel's munitions that they have been using. because their munitions are actually effective at taking buildings down, whereas this one kind of made a small dent that I could make in like 3 minutes with a pickaxe in the parking lot. So there's that, right? Hamas said they couldn't show the evidence because it was all just destroyed, which doesn't make any sense because it seems like there's always a little bit something left over. There's always just a little bit something that you can identify. It's not like the bombs are just like atomizing every single thing that comes into like, or that it is part of the missile when it explodes, you know? Emma says there's no smoking gun. Meanwhile, the video title? Uh-oh. What is the video title? Research agency debunks Israel's lies about infamous hospital bombing.
Because they just want an object to point to. It's not actually about rationalizing about it. It's like, oh, look over there.
Right.
In my opinion, that bombing was when most people, at least international audiences, kind of held their breath like, oh my God, like, what are they doing? And, you know, once they were able
they needed something.
Dispel it, you know, people just moved on. And then now it's gotten to the point where, you know, nobody paying attention would believe that they're not attacking hospitals. You know, that's obviously false. But they've gotten over that hump of, you know, people being aghast. I guess the final point I wanted to make before y'all let me go is just that in similar to COVID, they've basically dismantled any ability for people to take an accurate measurement of the actual human cost of these. I mean, it's a lack of action versus a direct action.
Wait, what do you mean? Israel isn't in control of that information. Who is in control of the information on the death tolls in Gaza? I'll give you one hint. It's the guys that Israel is fighting. Hate Israel all you want if you want to. If you think that they're genociders, fine. But Israel doesn't control the information that comes out on the death tolls out of Gaza. Israel has their own reports, estimates, but they don't have access on the ground to this information. It's guesswork on their part. And they're largely, believe it or not, having to go off of the information from Hamas. Believe it or not, that is the case as it stands right now.
Action of bombing people, but, you know, it's still similar that, you know, we've dismantled, you know, our domestic ability to accurately count COVID deaths. And I think it's a similar thing is happening in Gaza. You know, despite their best efforts, you know, you can only do so much when.
Also, like, think about, like, this guy, as bad as COVID is and has been and will continue to be, as bad as all of that is, just think for a second about the reality on the ground, okay? Like, can you imagine for a second, and just think about this, the logistics that's going to have to go into perpetually keeping up the data that goes along with COVID into perpetuity. It is too late for us to get rid of COVID or to stop COVID. That's the unfortunate reality. Now it is endemic. Now it is something that we have to deal with for the rest of our lives. Okay, sorry, Mind of Z. If I had known that it was that you weren't able to do, I wouldn't have watched the video. Sorry about that, bud. But yeah, like, shoot me a message on Discord and we'll set something up for maybe tomorrow or the next day. Okay?
Medical professionals are being targeted.
And an entire society is in rubble. Like, what does this specific net right now death count even mean when everyone's still displaced and starving?
Yeah, and the mechanisms to count it are completely gutted. The same way that it's just been to further your analogy, deprioritized in this country from the Democratic administration.
Yeah, and you know, let's be clear about the evidence we played. Like, I like there's different types of evidence, and for my mind, the circumstantial evidence with regards to the hospital thing was always clear. It was always probably Israel because guess what? That turned out to be predictive because they have continued to bomb hospitals. So it turns out I was right.
What is that logic? this happened because they later did it too. They at a later time did this thing that I don't like. So that means that everything that happened before was also their fault. What kind of shit logic is that?
Wait, I was right too.
Exactly, we were right. Exactly. The forensic thing, like to me, it's like it is always unclear. But so like when it came out that it proves Israel's right, then you shouldn't freak out because like that's all that stuff of like trajectories and stuff. I saw this with JFK assassination. That stuff is all very, you can make strong cases one way or the other. When I was on jury duty, I literally heard a case where you had two different audio experts come in and say, oh, that is that person's voice on the thing. No, that isn't that person's voice on the thing. They both had the same kind of credentials, right? Like so forensic evidence I think is tougher, but the circumstantial evidence was always extremely clear, and anybody who wasn't very definite about that was doing cover for Israel.
Yeah, I mean, there are always things that people say about forensic being basically junk science. So I take all that with a massive grain of salt.
So even forensic evidence wouldn't change your mind? Why are you even having a conversation about it then? Just say that I am a political extremist who will never have his mind changed on anything, no matter what. I don't care about the facts of the situation. All I care about is that my preconceived biases are reaffirmed time and time again. Just say that.
Salt.
But nonetheless, like, yeah, as we say, like those hospitals are in rubble now, and it's not because all of these rockets kept misfiring. Please.
Well, and it's
also, they don't claim that. On the ones that they have shot missiles at or near, they're always very careful to let everybody know, hey, by the way, this is why we did this. So if they're so intent on doing that, for every other case, why is it on this one case, they're like, immediately, hey, this one wasn't us. This one wasn't us. Why would they do that for this one, but not all the other ones?
Like you said, circumstantial evidence, like how... I mean, the explanation was an accident, but I mean, it wouldn't make sense for, Hamas
to
target themselves, and I know this is just random people online, but now people are saying that, oh, these kids that are found with sniper wounds, dead, that was probably Hamas targeting them. It's like, these people, I mean, Hamas needs the civilians there to support them in some way. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for, No.
It's dehumanization.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're defending. Guys, they're defending human shields right now. This is what Majority Report sees every day they go outside. Oh my God. Shut the up.
It's also projection because Israel is, according to one of the family members of the hostages, employing the Hannibal Directive on the hostages, meaning they are, because Netanyahu and the Israeli government, well, Netanyahu needs the war to stay in power, and two, the Israeli government wants to take Gaza and also do this genocide. They need, further justification on that front. So they don't necessarily need the hostages back, so they'll kill anything that moves to borrow from Nick Turse. But appreciate the call, Mitch. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for taking my comment.
This is so unhinged, dude. I just can't imagine, like, if I had resources at my disposal like these news agencies do, dude, I would be so embarrassed. Give me this segment, I'll report it. Like, I don't condone like mass reporting shit for no reason. It's just like I don't understand what the point is, like if I had all of those resources at my disposal, the shit that I would do with it to make sure that I was, actually helping society in some way, shape, or form, that I was actually making a difference in some way, shape, or form, like the shit that I would do to make sure that I was correct. It's just, I can't imagine the mindset of, you know what, this seems like it's probably right, and I'm just going to, you know, I'm just gonna roll with it. It seems right enough that I'm just gonna roll with it. Why are all of these things not dismantling? What the? There we go. I used to like Majority Report until they fell for the Islamo-Nazi propaganda. True. Well, I mean, like, I was never a Majority Report viewer. I never watched them. I thought that Sam Cedar was a little bit better than the rest of them. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But my understanding is that they used to be somewhat good, and Sam Cedar used to be somewhat good. But now it's just like pure insanity left and right always with the crazy leftist shit. I swear to God, like, I'm trying to figure out how I can say this. I feel like I really dislike leftists. Not because I think that they're all evil, although increasingly so. It's not looking great for them, right? But I hate leftists because of how counterproductive they are. And I have genuine critiques for them. And I feel like at some point in my life, I'm going to get for criticizing leftists, whether because, like, you know, I'm going to school right now for political science. If I end up getting a job that is involved in politics somehow, like, that's the dangerous territory for me, right? And on top of that, if I don't go into politics, I instead go into, like, I don't know, teaching, I don't know, which is something that I've very much thought about a lot. If some of these Zoomers find my old YouTube page after I'm long gone from streaming, I'm probably But meanwhile, I can have legitimate criticisms of them being unhinged, crazy tankies, of them being incredibly counterproductive to basically every single part of American life that is actually worth defending. Like voting, since they hate that so much. Like integrity in journalism, because they certainly don't give a fuck about that, right? Like every aspect of American life that is like better than literally anybody else on the planet. They just say it's all bad. It's all bad, always. And if you criticize that, then you're supporting genocide. And it's crazy. Meanwhile, half of these dumb don't even know what genocide is. They think genocide is when lots of people die, unless they're Jews for some reason, because October 7th, they all balked at people calling that a genocide, which obviously it's not a genocide. I wouldn't ever say that. But they balked at that when people were saying that because it's not a genocide just because a bunch of people died. Quit being overdramatic, lib. Meanwhile, a bunch of people die in Gaza, which is not good. And our leaders try and, put the pressure on Israel to, hey, maybe don't be so aggressive with the bombing, or maybe slow down on the bombing, or maybe start working towards some sort of peace, to the point where Biden called what was it that he called Netanyahu a dumb bastard or some shit, where Biden is getting ultra frustrated with them while he's pressuring them. And then these same troglodyte, subhumanly unintelligent dumb who have the resources at their disposal to actually understand the situation on the ground, these instead are telling people not to go out and vote. That it's exactly the same. Not voting, voting for Trump over Biden as a protest vote. It's all the same to them. And these are the people with resources at their disposal. It's insane. You are wrong. It is a genocide. I do not think that what is happening in Gaza right now rises to the level of genocide. The strongest claim that I think you can make, and this is just me, playing ball with everyone who's using genocide as the word. The strongest word that I think you could use is ethnic cleansing, and that's a maybe. But I do not think that there is evidence of genocide. Genocide is a very specific crime. Genocide is the highest crime that a nation can commit and requires so much evidence of intent, evidence of planning, and it's just not there. Oxford. Hold on. I didn't see that you posted the Oxford definition, but UN, what's the word? Convention on Genocide. Wait, message retracted. Was that a mod that deleted that, or did you delete it? Welcome to the United Nations. Oh, look at that. It's the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. Just so you guys know, Oxford didn't come up with the term genocide. It was actually invented. The word was invented by a guy named, after all the times that I've read about genocide, now I can't remember his name. What's his first name? Etymology. Lemkin, of course. Raphael Lemkin. And Lemkin's, you might be able to make the case under Lemkin's original definition. But even that's hard under his definition. But under international law, let me see here. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent. With intent to destroy, in whole or in part. Now, right here, the in part, that does, if you haven't read anything on genocide, you might think, well, they are destroying a people in part. They're killing a lot of Palestinians right now. However, would you say that someone who is going out and let's say there's a small neo-Nazi group, okay? Let's say there's a small neo-Nazi group and they start going out and doing murders of Jewish and people of color around the United States. Now, they have, why? Discord should not be able to stretch that far. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's say that there's a group of neo-Nazis. They're going out killing black people, Hispanic people, Jews, because they want to cleanse the United States of non-white people. Would we ever call that a genocide? No, we wouldn't, because it would be hate crimes. It would be targeted killings, but it wouldn't be a genocide. But let's expand that. Let's say that there is a nation at war with another nation, and a lot of people die in the process. Is that a genocide? There's not enough information. Just because a lot of people die does not mean that it is a genocide. In order for it to be genocide, there has to be evidence of intent that they are planning on killing these people simply for the fact of them being that kind of person. There has to be evidence of planning. What are their plans to remove this group of people from the face of the earth? there has to be action. And we haven't even met either of the first two criteria to say that the actions right now are genocide. Now, I will hand on a Bible, and I'm recording it right now. Oh, shit. My Discord stopped recording. Sorry, Tron. I ran out of space on my computer. But hand on a Bible on stream right now. You can clip it. You can ship it. You can save it to your computer and show it to me later. If there's ever evidence of Israel planning to destroy the Palestinian people, and they have a plan, and they are planning on acting that out, yeah, I'll change everything that I've said. A crime committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group in whole or in part. Right. Again, the key word here, the intent to destroy. The intent to destroy. And every single genocide that's ever been documented as a genocide has shown planning of them showing, having logistics planned out on how to remove these people from the area, on what excuses they would use in front of the international court. I don't think a plan is entirely necessary. Serbia didn't have a plan. If we're talking about what's going on right now, I don't know a lot about the Serbian genocide. I think that there are some acts that are so brazen that just like people walking up and mowing down a load of civilians, right? That would be one thing that wouldn't require a plan, but it would show intent. However, we don't see them going in and just like with like no forethought, just like mowing down tons of Palestinians. Why the fuck would they share their plan to the media? With the Rohingya Muslims, do you think that they leaked their plans to the media? With the Hutus and the Tutsis, do I have those right? In Rwanda, do you think that they leaked their plan to the media? Have you not heard what the Likud have stated? I have heard what the Likud have stated. I've also heard what Palestinian leaders have stated. I've also heard what the Nazis stated. I've also heard what they stated about the Rohingya Muslim genocide in Southeast Asia. But the difference between what the Nazis said and what the Israelis have said and what the people in Rwanda have said and what the people over Myanmar? And what the people over in Myanmar have stated is that those other countries actually followed through with genocidal actions. Whereas, even if you want to say that we're approaching a genocide or there is an ethnic cleansing happening, 1 second. Got home from work, time to drink, same. I'm not saying that they have to say, here's how we will perform a genocide, but based off of everything that I've read on genocide, and I've had to read quite a bit on genocide because of arguments that people are making online, there's never been a genocide with these characteristics whatsoever. There just hasn't been such a slow burn genocide in all of human history since we've been trying to figure out since we've defined genocide as a term and started, condemning people for it. Intentionality aspect was added because Russia wanted it there because they were so that they weren't guilty of Ukrainian starvation. Yeah, I know. And the Uyghur genocide is easy to prove just based off of the Chinese laws and policies and internal documents. Yeah. But there hasn't been any leaking from internal documents of Israel saying, hey, these bombs right here, we're going to say that we're going to target Hamas, but we're actually just going to kill some more of those dirty Muslims. There hasn't been anything like that. There's been a lot of posturing publicly. And there's been a lot of posturing publicly from the Palestinians too. And if you go back throughout the history of this conflict, they have killed more in 5 months than the entire Ukrainian casualties since the conflict began 2 years ago. I feel like here's my problem, because I really want to go hard and I really want to say some shit because I've been drinking just a little bit. Okay. But I'm going to, here's my difficulty. When I'm talking to people, and my family is like this, they're very, very pro-Palestine, right? And they question why I say these things. And the only reason I say these things is because I've actually read up on genocide. I understand, and I think that most people, when they are talking about the genocide of the Palestinian people, they mean it from a good place, and they're not trying to just say, I hate Jews or anything like that. I think that it is largely a position that comes from, I genuinely do not want to see more civilians killed. And I agree with you. I also do not want to see any more civilians killed. All right? That's a stupid analogy. Ukraine has air defense and an army. Hamas don't. I know. But I'm trying to be chill because I've been drinking and I want to be nicer. But you can't look at a military conflict that was instigated by a terrorist group that still currently has at least dozens of hostages taken from that initial instigation, then look at how many bombs have been dropped in these 2 months and then say, yeah, it's definitely a genocide. If they wanted to kill the Palestinian people, brother, I have news for you. That could have been accomplished on October 8th. How many bombs have been dropped? Because the last time I looked up this ratio, it was about, for every bomb dropped, 1.2 people died. That was the ratio. If they wanted to kill everyone in Gaza, it would have happened months ago. How many bombs dropped on Gaza? And this was written when? December 30th. Oh shit, this was 2 months ago. December 22, January 11th, January 4th, 2024. As of January 4th, they dropped more than 45,000 bombs. Gaza death toll that we looked up just a minute ago, 30,000. There are fewer deaths than bombs that have been dropped. And this is an article from 2 days ago. And this is how many bombs were dropped a month ago. How do we reconcile calling this a genocide with the intentional act of wanting to destroy a group of people? It is the least of, like, if it comes out that it is a genocide, like, I'll castigate myself on stream, and then I'll go and fight with all the people who are on the same line of thinking as me. However, I don't know how we reconcile this idea that they're intentionally trying to kill as many Palestinians as possible. It's just the least efficient genocide in all of human history is all I'm trying to say. If it is a genocide, it's the least efficient one of all time. No, I'm not misusing the term destroy. In every single instance of genocide that I've ever looked into, all of the major ones, all of the secondary ones, they are eradicating the existence of Palestine. How many people in the West Bank have been destroyed by bombs? Why are they conquering the land as they go? What do you mean by that? By conquering the land, do you mean that they have, like, soldiers on the ground? And there are areas that they've cleared of Hamas? And so they have, like, staging grounds there? Is that conquering the land? Of all of the claims I've seen about Israel, Palestine, Israel, Gaza, I've never heard anybody say that they're conquering Gaza. It will all be Israeli land after the conflict. I genuinely doubt that. And I would put money down right now to say that they wouldn't do that. There is literally no, and when I say literally, I mean it, literally no upside to Israel taking the Gaza Strip as their own. And I defy you to give me one legitimate piece of intel that shows that they're annexing the land as they go through, clearing it of Palestinians. Just give me somewhere to look at. I have never heard that. Anyways, there's like a million things that we can do here, but we could sit here and argue with chat forever about Israel-Palestine. But I just don't. It's like the arguments with people I had on trans genocide. There are things that are happening. I agree that they are bad. Does this rise to the level? Why are they all cornered in Rafah now? They've been cornered in Rafah. Give it a few weeks. Hey, how about this? Do you agree? How about a $50 wager? I don't think that this conflict will last until the end of 2024. Destroy you on Discord with a told you so. Put some money down on it, man. No, I'll debate you on Discord when the conflict ends. How about this? You'll get to say, I told you so, nanny nanny boo boo, if I'm wrong. What if you're wrong? This is, okay, 50 USD PayPal. All right, yes. And if they annex it, just send me your PayPal email or username or whatever and I'll send you $50. All right? Because that's some stakes that you have too. Because if it's just me having stakes, then it's no fun, right? Yeah, I mean, you'll still have the right to come on and verbally abuse me for being wrong. Define conflict will last when Operation Protective Edge ends. How about that? But I don't think I wouldn't. I would also put money down that this conflict doesn't last into the summer. Because there just won't be there won't be a Gaza left, you know? I don't dislike you, you just did it wrong. It's like, yeah, and I don't dislike you because like I know that you're more leftist than I am, and I usually dunk on leftists a whole bunch, right? But you're pretty reasonable in chat. I'm not gonna like sit here and shit on you to the end of the earth. But on the topic of genocide, I have very strong opinions because people. This is my problem with it. When we use the strongest word possible to describe a bad event, right? And it doesn't actually align with that event, we're doing two things. We are, on one hand, cheapening what that one word means, genocide, right? This is one of my arguments that I had with trans genocide. The idea that trans people are being genocided in the United States right now is ludicrous. And it takes away from anybody, like, even mildly pro-trans. They're going to see what this argument of trans genocide, they're going to be, what the are they talking about? It's kind of bad, but it's not that bad. And it could lower support for trans people because they're screaming about something that's happening that's not happening. And it doesn't get us the second point, on the other hand, it's not getting us any closer to a solution because the only solution to an ongoing genocide would literally be, and I would support this 100%, for any genocide on earth, I think that the UN should send in either a strike force or like UN peacekeepers against the will of whatever nation is committing the genocide to stop the genocide. If Israel is committing a genocide, US, European, Chinese, Russian, every country on earth should have troops there keeping the IDF away from the Palestinians. If there's a trans genocide, every country should be putting troops over here to stop a genocide from happening in the US. But that's not what's happening in the United States with trans people. So that using that word implies a solution that we should take extreme measures to stop it, up to and including and necessitating violent force. When instead, what really needs to happen is conservatives need to get unbrain fucked thinking that literally anybody in the world that's trans is trying to entrans their children. And we need to rescind all of the trans legislation because it takes away their civil rights in some places. In some places, it's just unnecessary and places unneeded restrictions on everybody. But that's the actions that need to be taken in the United States because it's not a genocide. There is no trans genocide. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if there's no trans genocide, then there is no Palestinian genocide. Anyways, wait, what is it? Is it not Protective Edge? Operation Protective Edge. Oh, that was the 2014 Gaza war. Sorry, guys. What is the Pillar of Defense? That was 2012. Swords of Iron? Okay. And this was okay, so it's Swords of Iron. I think whatever operation operation this is, it can totally last that long. I just don't think so. Like, I don't know if there has been, since like the last official war Israel was in, I don't think that there's been anything that's lasted more than like a couple of months. All right, Jesus.
As we
Let's see
watch
what this
the
is.
uncommitted votes come in, as you noted, Michigan has a tradition of thousands of people voting uncommitted. And in fact, in the last election, in the Democratic primary in 2020, about 20,000 people voted uncommitted. About 28,000 voted uncommitted in the Republican.
End of time or until Palestine actually wants peace. Here's the thing. What Palestine needs, and I hate to steal a take from Destiny because it's always one of those things, but this is like the same thing that I said about the trans genocide. Instead of having this crazy rhetoric that is violent rhetoric, that is crazy rhetoric, implying that we need to be on like a war footing constantly, forever. Instead of that, what we need actually is like a person who's trans to go out there and be a really good advocate, to pull people over to their side, to humanize themselves, and to advocate for peaceful resolutions, to not take this like crazy land idea that we're just going to, use strong rhetoric until everyone's either on our side or everyone's dead. All right? And that is the path that the Palestinians have taken, because they think that that's the best way to get Palestinian liberation. It's not. And we all know that. We all know it's not going to help Palestine or Palestinians to constantly try to fight Israel on this shit. It's never going to help them. Anyways, what do you think of Macron saying Western troops in Ukraine shouldn't be ruled out? Everyone else smacked it down. I heard about that literally like probably 45 minutes before I started stream, and that is a dangerous thing to say. On a purely like, I don't know, on a purely emotional level, it's like, yeah, we should be sending troops over to Ukraine, but in my prefrontal cortex, which is functional, right, I know that would be a crazy thing to say and do, right? And we shouldn't say things like that. No, it would actually though guarantee World War III. Like it's actually a crazy dumb thing to say. Actually, he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have implied it. He shouldn't have said it. There's literally no justification in my mind for saying that shit. Like you gotta not say that shit. Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying Macron.
Out sending troops to Ukraine one day, but that doesn't appear to be the case for a number of his European counterparts.
By the way, hey guys, if you like my stream and you guys want to help me out, I need your money. There are links to the donation thing that will show a little animation on the stream. All right, and I think TTS is on. If you use the donation link, all right. Please, if you guys are feeling generous and you guys want to help, me out, please shoot me a little Skrilla. All right, I'm poor. I'm taking some time off of work so that I can do my school and actually get my degree. So if you like it, support me. I slapped a like. Oh, yeah. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please like the stream. Thank you, Food Shops.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz agreed that allies would boost efforts to supply munitions to Kyiv, but sending troops was a red line.
What was agreed from the outset among ourselves and with each other also applies to the future. Namely, that there will be no ground troops, no soldiers on Ukraine soil sent there by European countries or NATO states.
In a joint press conference, the Czech and Polish premiers were also categorical.
I will not speak for both of us, but I think I can say for both of us that we're not considering sending any troops to Ukraine.
The NATO chief also said the alliance has no plans to put...
Why is France like the goblin child of NATO? Like, we're going to stay in, we're not going to stay in. We like NATO, we don't like NATO. We're going to be hesitant to support Ukraine. Actually, we should be putting troops on the ground versus Russia. Can someone explain to me why the French are like this? Oh, shit, that's not what I wanted. Nope. Off.
Troops on the ground in Ukraine. Neither does Sweden, which is set to join NATO. A spokesperson for the British Prime Minister said the UK wasn't planning a large-scale deployment beyond the small number of personnel already in Ukraine supporting their armed forces. For Ukraine, though, just the fact that the possibility of direct military intervention was discussed at the meeting of leaders on Monday was good news. The Kremlin, on the other hand, warned that if European members of NATO sent in troops, a conflict between the alliance and Russia would become inevitable.
It seems to me that those who not only express such thoughts, but even allow them in their heads, should use these heads for more rational thoughts, safer for Europe.
I'm sorry, the only thing that you have that threatens Europe at this point is an aging army full of 50 and 60-year-olds who you gave airsoft armor to and your nuclear weapons. And unless you're willing to commit to nuclear holocaust, I don't think anyone's scared of your military anymore.
Emmanuel Macron said on Monday that although no consensus existed on sending troops, European countries had to do whatever it takes to ensure that Russia did not win the war.
Okay, let's watch this.
Primary. And you keep going back every 4 years, and it's about 20,000 people in each party vote uncommitted. So I kind of look at that, and maybe you tell me what you think about this. I kind of look at that as the floor for the uncommitted movement this evening. 20,000 is that's kind of like what happens every election. They get 30, they get 40, they get 50,000. Well, now we're talking, that's a real protest.
Right. So if you look at roughly 20,000, and I think that's history says that's a fair number. One of the dynamics sometimes in those uncommitted votes is a certain candidate decides not to contest the state. Right. Back in 2008, the uncommitted vote was way higher because both Barack Obama and John Edwards didn't play in Michigan, and their voters voted uncommitted to sort of say, I want to go out and vote for my guy, but I can't vote for my guy. So it was much higher then. So the question this time, though, is there's nobody like that. There's not another Democratic candidate who said, I'm going to skip Michigan because Biden's strong there. So that, I think, is a true protest vote, as opposed to in years past where there were different reasons for it. Or it's just, maybe let's not overstate that it's all about Israel-Gaza.
Let's not talk about goblins right now. The trauma is too fresh. Too true, dude. Too true. Oh, wait, you know what? Food Shops. There was some drama with you and... There was the drama with you and Wick, and then there was also some drama that happened afterwards that I guess Stardust had you on her stream with Brianna Wu. Do I have that correct? Dead Hand. Oh, yeah. Cold War automatic nuclear weapons control system. That was constructed in the of failed, deadly, and mutual assured destruction deterrence. It can automatically initiate the launch of the Russian intercontinental pre-entered highest authority order from the General Staff of the Armed Forces. Blah, 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 blah. By most accounts, it is normally switched off and is supposed to be activated during times of crisis. However, as of 2009, it was said to remain fully functional and able to serve its purpose when needed. Oof. It's the fourth Lolly Wars. Third. You need to stop arguing about it. It's just so stupid. I just want everyone to shut the f up and be normal. Like, it's not even good content. It's just you get made fun of and then you get over it because it's your gooning habits have been made public. That's all this is. I'm sorry if that seems callous to you, but also, holy shit. Or maybe I need to argue about it and Food Shops has more subs. I want to go into education. I can't argue about it. I also have no desire to argue about the lolicon. It just seems like such an unbelievably nothing argument to have. Why? Okay, I think we're good here. Let's watch this video. Let's go back.
History says that's a fair number. One of the dynamics sometimes in those uncommitted votes is a certain candidate decides not to contest the state. Right back in 2008, the uncommitted vote was way higher because both Barack Obama and John Edwards didn't play in Michigan, and their voters voted uncommitted to sort of say, I want to go out and vote for my guy, but I can't vote for my guy. So it was much higher then. So the question this time, though, is there's nobody like that. There's not another Democratic candidate who said, oh, I'm going to skip Michigan because Biden's strong there. So that, I think, is a true protest vote, as opposed to in years past where there were different reasons for it. Or it's just, maybe let's not overstate that it's all about Israel-Gaza. Uncommitted is going to tell us people who had a chance to vote for an incumbent Democratic president or vote for his long shot challenger, and they chose to vote uncommitted. So it tells you, number one, they're unhappy. They're looking for something else than that. And then the question is, and our reporters on the ground will help us, how much of it is Israel-Gaza? How much of it is repairable? And how much of it may be irreparable? The front page of the Arab American News 6-8 weeks back was abandon Biden. And when you talk to them out there and you say, but that might help Trump win, some say, I'll think about that closer to November. Others say, I don't care, that this is a matter of principle, that I'm going to vote against Biden on a matter of principle, and if Trump wins, so be it. That's the challenge for the president. That's why his deputy national security advisor was out there last week. That's why Ro Khanna, the Democrat.
Jesus Christ. Let's see here. So the oldest generation. So this is the generation that survived World War II. Jesus Christ. There's just no surplus men. They have surplus women. I don't know what that means. Surplus. Oh, that's how many more women there are than men. This is how many unmarried women there were because there were just not enough men to marry them. So the demographics couldn't easily repair themselves, but it seems like by the 80s it had mostly repaired. And then they had the Afghanistan war and the dissolution of the USSR. So people stopped having kids or they died in Afghanistan. It kind of repaired, and then just over the past... Oh, wait, hold on. That was low even before that, but now they're even losing this 20 to 30 demographic. Aren't they? I mean, I feel bad for the actual people of Russia. Don't get me wrong.
House member was out there last week trying to help him. That's why the campaign team was out there. This is a full court press, and Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who is from right down here in the Detroit area, she has been, don't call it a 5-alarm fire. She's been pulling every fire alarm she can find and saying, you better get out there, you're in trouble.
And one of the things that the people behind the uncommitted movement are trying to do tonight is send the message, look, it doesn't really matter what happens during the primary. Joe Biden's going to win the Democratic primary, but we're here, and Donald Trump only won Michigan by 10,000 votes in 2016. Right. You need us. Let me go to Diane Gallagher, who's at a voting location right now. And Diane, you're in Ann Arbor. What are people telling you about this uncommitted vote?
The exact conversation that you and John were just having. I spoke with several uncommitted voters here in Ann Arbor who gave various reasons for this vote. Now, I do want to get into some numbers that I just received. Of course, these are unofficial, but they have been transmitted from the city of Ann Arbor, Ward 5, Precinct 48. As far as the Democratic Party goes, President Joe Biden, 41 votes, Dean Phillips, 4, Marianne Williamson, 4, and uncommitted received 39. Just a 2-vote difference between Joe Biden and uncommitted. Now, on the Republican side, we have 6 votes for Nikki Haley, 15 for Donald Trump, and 3 for uncommitted, a total of 112 votes at this precinct. But look, I spoke with many uncommitted voters here in Ann Arbor, several of them telling me they are not a part of the Arab American community, but that this resonates with them. And this is their opportunity, they said, to have that protest, to let the president, who they did plan to vote for, they said in November, hear what they have to say about this particular issue.
So it's
Also, like, as much as I want Americans to care about foreign policy, of all the issues in the world, for them to be so up in arms about, and maybe this is me being a bad person, like I think about on a regular basis now, like, how am I just like becoming the conservative that I've hated for so long? And I don't think I am, but damn,
it's interesting. This is the math she just said on the Biden uncommitted. I left Dean Phillips and Mario.
It's just like, here's the thing. I think that we should care way more about international affairs than we currently do. We should have a much stronger stance as citizens of the United States than we currently do. I do believe that. However, so much of our discourse about this is just poisoned fundamentally, unbelievably, by bad actors in media, bad actors in our social media place. It's just, I cannot for the life of me understand it. I don't understand why we give so much deference to shit that we just don't know a goddamn thing about. From people, we have no idea what their motivations are. We just don't know. And yet everybody is willing to take these strong stands. Maybe this is just the way that everything has always been, and that's entirely possible. Don't get me wrong. It is entirely possible that literally all of this is just shit that we've seen before and shouldn't be surprising to us. But, bro, I am just a on the internet that has opinions on stuff. And maybe because I've been doing it in this way on like via stream, maybe that has like clouded my vision. Maybe that has made it to where I can't relate to people anymore on how they come to conclusions. Like, this is entirely possible. But I feel like there is no way that anybody living in the United States right now should have this hardcore of a stance on Israel-Palestine of all things, you know? It's just kind of mind-boggling to me. Hey, how's it going, Sam?
Marion Williams, 41-39. That's almost a tie, right? So that's one precinct. She's here. Washtenaw County is where Ann Arbor is. So county-wide, Biden's doing much better, but still 25%. A 25%, this is a college. This is the main voting block here. It's Ann Arbor, the college town. So you have students who could vote there, then you have the entire, the infrastructure university.
I'm not freaking out about nothing.
Again, when we were on the campus, it's about 2 months back now, but when we were on the campus, we were there and they had a banner pulled out and they had a printout literally from Hamas, and they were writing the names on the banners. And there were students there. Many of them were Arab Americans, but there were many other students stopping by to help them. And we spoke to the head of the college Democrats, who said they were trying to have a meeting to plan about the election, and all the energy was about Israel-Gaza. Now, the question is, as time passes and as the president's tone has shifted, as the president's policy has shifted, he now says he maybe can have a ceasefire by early next week. Can the president repair the damage? That is the question, because the damage, you see it right there. You just heard it from Diane. You see it in the...
Because Israel and the U.S. are intrinsically tied and people don't want to be involved in another war. But I don't think that we're ever going to get involved in a war in Israel unless Israel is being attacked by another nation. But I do not think that the United States is going to, like, sorry, someone slamming on their brakes outside. But I don't think the United States is ever going to go to put troops on the ground for shit that's happening in Gaza. I just don't think that will literally ever happen. Ever.
this one precinct, the damage is real. The damage is real. The question is, you have 8 months. Can you repair it?
All right. Let's walk over to the panel right now. Is that what we're doing? Let me toss it to Dana. Dana Bash, on to you.
Thank you. And, you know, as we continue that conversation, one of the main reasons we are so focused on Michigan tonight isn't because, and we can just repeat this, isn't because we are not sure who's going to win the Democratic primary and who's going to win the Republican primary. It's what does this tell us about November? And looking back in history, just go back to 2016. There was a very, very intense primary in Michigan between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was going to win that primary. Bernie Sanders eked it out. And if you fast forward to the fall of 2016, Hillary Clinton ended up losing Michigan. And so that's one of many examples throughout recent history of places like Michigan and Michigan itself being a harbinger for problems that a candidate has in a primary that bear out in the general election. Is that one of the things that you're looking at and looking for here, David Chalian?
Definitely one of the things to look for in any primary contest, I think, is what, and it's not a one-for-one situation, we should note that, but what general election vulnerabilities are exposed by the coalition of folks that come out and vote the way they do inside the context of your primary? Because we all know politics is a game of addition, right? And you need a unified base of support from your own partisans to be in the ballgame for a general election. And so looking for cracks in the Biden coalition in these Democratic vote tallies tonight is what we're looking for. I mean, I'll just note, with 7% of the estimated vote in now, the uncommitted vote is already at 11,607 raw votes. So they've already crossed the ridiculously low expectation setting that they had set for 10,000. But we've only got 7% of the estimated vote in. So they're at 11,000 now. That raw vote number is going to grow throughout this evening, perhaps substantially. So we'll see how much of a protest statement is made here. But it doesn't mean, and this is important for us to remember all day long, that every single one of those uncommitted votes is a Donald Trump vote in the fall or a stay-at-home, no Joe Biden vote. Perhaps the vast majority of these folks who are participating in a Democratic primary are making a statement tonight to try to change policy, but are going to be in this contest between Trump and Biden in the fall, and very well may be with Biden. But it does give the Biden campaign their to-do list in Michigan.
It is really the enthusiasm gap, which is probably the biggest challenge that Biden faces heading into November, getting the base energized, which is clearly a large protest vote will make it very clear about the amount of work that they have to do here. Which will be interesting, too, is just the challenges that each candidate has within their own party. For Biden, it is clearly the base. It's younger voters, minority voters, and here, Muslim voters, Arab American voters. Trump, the right of center voters, the suburban voters, those are the people that have been voting for Nikki Haley. How much of vulnerability do we see from him in tonight's results? So, as David said, like, this is, we know
we'll watch him after this.
The impact, what it means for November is what we're going to have to scrutinize here.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, we're doing vibe punditry, right?
Vibe
punditry. We know how it's going to end. We know Biden's going to win it. We know Trump's going to win it. And so instead, it's trying to feel where the conversation is going to be for Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the days ahead. I mean, one of the things, which is, I think it was a point that David made when we were on TV 14,000 years ago this morning, is one of the things I'm looking for is what is Nikki Haley's number when she's not been campaigning in Michigan, right? That shows you the more organic base kind of number. But, you know, also we were just talking about Ann Arbor. That's a town, I'm sure, that went for Bernie Sanders in 2020. So it's heavy with college students. And, you know, it's early to figure out the vibes quite yet.
Although I believe that Michigan and Michigan State are on spring break right now. I've been reliably informed from a Michigander.
All right. Half-Life references. A man after my own heart.
We have a lot of other things to cover here, but look to Dr. Sherwood. Are we moving?
Joe Biden, wake up. Joe Biden, wake up. 9/11.
One of the things that I strongly believe is
Joe Biden, wake up.
I should probably go home. I'm tired.
Joe Biden, wake up.
Joe.
I'm tired. What's happening?
Joe Biden,
What's happening?
Joe. Hello, Mr. President. Wake up.
You should have to pay nearly $6,400 more than you would today.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
I feel like I've seen that original dude. I feel like I've seen that original dude before. But Antenna Cactus going to war in chat. Oh yeah, also I listened to, it says that I listened to the first 15 minutes of this. I don't feel like I did. Oh, maybe I did, because I remember seeing that as the screen when I stopped watching. Like Sean and Noah Sampson are making these videos about Israel-Palestine, and I just, on one hand, it's content. On the other hand, I don't know if I can handle listening to these give the most one-sided version of history for 45 minutes straight. This is like the least that I would ask of people who are more pro-Palestine than pro-Israel. Because again, like for me, I'm probably now like 60-40 more on the side of Israel than Palestine. But Israel's done some bad things. And I can admit to that without making excuses. But I don't feel like people on the Palestinian side ever just say, yeah, that's bad, and something different needs to be done, without making massive excuses. That takes away all agency from the people who they're defending. That's just like the problem that I have with it. Is the American experiment actually over if Trump wins? I don't know. I don't think I can make a strong claim on that. But I would say it would probably be the most precarious situation that we've ever been in on it. Have I seen this insane shit in Alabama? Oh, is this the yeah, the IVF? Hey guys, really quick, can we just like, this is something that sorry, I was reading Sam's message. This is the only one I should watch?
Joe Biden, wake up. Joe Biden, wake up.
Am I crazy? Does he not? Okay, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers characters? Zordon. Is this not the same guy right here?
Up. Joe Biden.
Is this not the same guy? He's President Biden's Zordon. Let's go.
Wake up. 9/11. Today's same day. What happened 2001. This is Wally P.O.K. Hanakin. Actual Pacheco, Texas, USA. 24.
I'm sorry. Is he? Okay, he is not speaking English, I guess.
7 every day. Wake up in USA. George W. Bush. They make a 9/11.
Pro-Hamas activists are kidnapping people working for Jewish people? Where? In Melbourne. Here's the thing. Antenna Cactus, on one hand, I think that you went down the same rabbit hole as I did at the same time on like, okay, this wokeness shit kind of crazy. This wokeness shit is getting out of hand. Starting to see through some of the bullshit, right? And I've been there too, and I am there. All right. I've seen through the woke crowd's lies. All right. And for a period, I would say I went too far with it, to the point where I probably had such a strong revulsion for lefties that I was willing to take too many narratives at face value. Right? And internet gas, I feel like you are so used to people just lying about most of like the woke stuff, or like the problems with like the Muslims moving into Europe, that it's really hard to hear any criticism of that without hearing Paul Joseph Watson. But both of you are a little crazy on this. Both of you have argued for shit that I think is absolutely crazy. Absolutely but crazy. And I like both of you, so I don't want to like sit here and shit on either of you too much. It's just like there are obvious problems with the way that some immigrant populations, what's the word? The way that they integrate into societies in which they've immigrated to, especially in Europe. I don't feel like we have as big a problem with it in the United States. There's some, but it's not nearly as big of a problem in the United States as it is in Europe. I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm not from Europe, right? It's not just assimilation. It's like integration and assimilation and all of that shit. There are obvious problems that lefties and people on the left and people who are liberals, we need to contend with that, and we need to recognize our blind spots, because holy shit, we have some blind spots. However, we also can't go so far in the other direction that we are unironically putting out like bullshit arguments that people like Paul Joseph Watson have argued for forever. Like, there is absolutely a happy medium that we can find there. And you have to be willing to admit the gap. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you're not telling me anything I don't know, Antinacactus. I might be in Texas for the eclipse. Oh, hey, DM me what city you might be in, because I won't be in Houston for that. But if you are in Texas, then I do want to hang out. Based. Awesome. All right. Anyways, I became a lefty once I found out I can still be anti-Semitic. Sieg. Wow. See, this is why I love my chat, is because everyone is allowed to have brave takes. As much as it sucks into the cactus, like, the unfortunate reality is these people also get to have freedom of speech in the same way as you or I do in the United States. Even if they are immigrants, even if they are refugees, we extend our Bill of Rights to everyone, regardless, absolutely regardless of whether they're a U.S. citizen or not. That's my understanding, at least. So they have freedom of speech to do that. We should just explain why they're wrong. I know that seems soy, but that's the way it is. I'm the reason that I feel like I'm aging out of this space and I am aging out of streaming, or maybe I'm just becoming a more mature person. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I am just so unable to understand why people are not, like, for lack of a better word, unable to see the shades of gray, right? Or to see how many things that we argue about do have a middle ground that we can all, at least somewhat agree to. Because neither of you guys are explicitly wrong, and neither of you guys are explicitly right. The problem is, you guys are too far in one direction for me to ever agree with you. There are problems, but holy, it's not to the point where we need to deport all Muslims. It's not to the point where we have to pretend that all these people are saints and we don't need to like push back on them or like possibly have repercussions for them socially or legally. But just because you have a strong Giga Chad stance on something doesn't mean that you're more right. Anyways, I will never view Muslims the same way after this. I think that I can't view religious people. I have become a full-on anti-theist as a result of streaming, as a result of looking into politics in the way that I do and seeing why people argue for the things that they do. I have become an actual unironic anti-theist. It's not just Muslims. Muslims aren't the religion that are causing the largest amount of pain in this country. That would be Christians, okay? Soy, Christians, oh yeah, you don't want to talk about... No. Unironically, with no caveats, the people that are doing the most amount of damage in this country to everything that we would say is important, good, near and dear to our hearts as American citizens, it's Christians. It's these Christian extremists in the Republican Party. I don't think that any of us would really disagree with that. I hope we wouldn't disagree with that because it's just true. The biggest threat to the United States right now is not Muslim extremists. It's crazy Trump extremists that think that Obama was born in Kenya still. That think that, you know, if Trump goes out and literally rapes a woman on live television, who he goes out and he murders someone live on TV, they would find some justification for it. That, I think, that is what I think is like the biggest problem. Our biggest problem is people that are like crazy lefties and crazy Trumples literally have no ability to function in a post-internet world where information is not always cut and dry and easy to understand. That is the biggest problem that we have in the United States right now. If Palestinians only want death or genocide of Jews, then okay. No, sorry, that's not the way the world works. Well, like, I also would love to just like say, you know, at this point, glass it or expel them, you know, like on some emotional level. Yeah, that makes sense. But you're just as soy and as every like crazy lefty is when you say that shit. You are. I'm sorry. You are. You're just as soy and cringe as the lefties because you're doing exactly what they do, which is hyperbolize literally everything so that the people that you dislike are just ontologically evil, and therefore nothing that they say has any merit. Like, that's just what it is. I don't want to like go too hard on either of you guys because I like both of you guys, but both of you are posting cringe on a regular basis when, on one hand, Gas is denying any of the obvious problems that there are with, you know, people who are moving in from other countries into places like Europe, into places like the United States, and actually causing problems because of their inability or lack of wanting to try to assimilate into the culture. All right. And Cactus, you're being cringe as when you say like we just need to lock up every black person that ever commits a crime, like a civil non-criminal crime, like, or like we need to like expel all of the fucking Muslims. Like, yeah, I understand on one level we're on the internet, but for me, I guess like maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe I just can't understand where the memery is anymore. Because I just want people to like actually give a position of what they think is like an actual solution to the problems that we have. And expelling the Muslims and glassing Gaza ain't an actual solution. None of these things are actual solutions. And then pretending like some of these things aren't problems is ultra cringe on Gas's part. You're both cringe. And I love you guys for it. But I'm just old and tired. I am old and tired. I'm unable to empathize with most of the people in the space anymore. When they do some cringe ass loser like shit, like watch Lolly and then admit to it on stream, right? And then argue about it ad nauseum for 4 or 5 months. I can't empathize with that. I just think you're stupid. I just think that you're actually like so subhumanly unintelligent that you should throw your computer out your window into a lake. When I see people saying that there's a genocide happening in Palestine, my thought is, holy shit, you are wholly incapable of taking in any information about the world around you unless it reaffirms your preconceived biases. When I see people saying Muslims are the biggest problem in the United States right now, all I can think is, you need to go touch grass. That's just where I'm at right now. I've lost the ability to engage on any of the popular talking points right now because it is all so unbelievably cringe and hyper partisan. And I can't even meme about it anymore. It's like, actually, I'm like so unbelievably black-pilled on so many things right now. It just like, it makes me upset. And the reason it makes me upset is I do just want to meme. All right. I wish that I could just like sit there and like shit on like one side for being cringe. But I just think that everybody's cringe. Nobody believes the things that they say. Nobody believes what they say. And it's all just a massive virtue signal fest. Every day that I log in online, it's killing me inside. So that's where I'm at right now. Where are we at? What are we watching next? Oh, 1 second. Let me respond to my girlfriend. Alabama. Thank you. Holy shit. Sorry if I like went too hard on you guys. I do genuinely love both you guys, right? Cactus, Gas, I love both of you guys, genuinely. Like, you guys are some of the only people that I would say are probably friends at this point. There's just very, very few people that I actually genuinely like online, right? And you two people are two of those people. But like, holy, I just don't know how to communicate with people on stream anymore. It's just like, I'm so unbelievably black-pilled to the point where like half the time I just want to, if I didn't like streaming so much, I probably would have just like logged off a couple of months ago. A couple of weeks after October 7th, it would have been over. But yeah, Sondsol needs to hit the gym. I've been lifting actually, very light weights, but I've been lifting at home. Anyways, I need to clip out that entire rant. It's a good rant. Hey Tron, people are saying that was a good rant. It's just me saying that I don't like the space anymore because nobody has the desire for truth statements. Anyways, what is this? We'll go to Alabama next. I'm absolutely never watching a Pearl Jam video on stream. I hate Pearl Jam. Get rid of this. Okay.
A decision from the Alabama Supreme Court has alarmed doctors, patients, and reproductive rights advocates. On Friday, the court ruled that frozen embryos created...
Your problem is religion, not Muslims, Cactus. Yeah, I think that if Christians didn't feel like they would be socially ostracized for doing this same thing, if Christians didn't feel like they were going to be socially ostracized, they wouldn't do it. The only reason that this city was able to do that is because there's a Muslim ethnic enclave there. Religion sucks. I do not care about any decision anybody makes on a governmental level, because I don't care if someone's going, like, personally, I don't care if someone's religious, but if you're going to do anything in government, the second you bring up your religious convictions for something, I immediately think that you should be hung by the neck until dead in a video game. I do think we should pass a constitutional amendment that says that no person in office shall make any public statement favoring one religion over another. Most Muslims in the United States are hella liberal in Cactus. Have you ever, I'm sorry to pull this number on you. Have you ever met a Muslim before in your life? And have you ever met a Muslim where you weren't just like in the same room, like in class or something? Have you ever hung out with a Muslim? I hate to pull that card, but like at the same time, I know a lot of Muslims. I know religious Muslims who would never take anything from their religion. You're okay. They voted against Gretchen Whitmer because of LGBT people and abortion. Well then, Antenna Cactus, there's two things here. Number one, religious people are always going to be more conservative than liberal people. I'm sorry. Religious people are always going to be more conservative than secular people, right? Who are predominantly liberal. I understand that, Antenna Cactus, okay? But also, most Muslims are fine with gay people and trans people in the United States. Wait, hold on. I'm actually curious. Maybe I'll change my mind like on the spot right here. Maybe I'll eat my words. Polling Muslims LGBT USA. I might eat my words right here. Let's see. I actually have no clue. That's actually a lot. I thought it was going to be more like 55-45. It's a little closer than I thought it was going to be. Wait. Oh, okay. Sorry. I wasn't understanding how to read the... Bro, you know what? This guy... I feel like this might match up with a lot of conservatives. I feel like if the same poll was run by like on the GOP, I feel like these bar graphs would be like identical, don't you think? Like half of the people that say that it should be accepted are under the age of 30. Between 30 and 50 is about 35, and it just basically drops off after that. I feel like it would be identical for the GOP, don't you think? If they fight against Dems, they are putting me at risk. Okay, well, how about let's do this. Polling Muslims, let's say polling Muslims, liberal or conservative. Okay, that's 2017, 2011. Oh my God. Let's see here. 28% of Muslims voted Republican. 28. 72% of Muslims. Oh, 70% of Muslims voted Democrat. Okay.
A decision from the Alabama Supreme Court has
That last one was from 2022 midterms. So I think that's the most recent that we're going to get. It's not tainted by like the October 7th stuff.
Doctors, patients, and reproductive rights advocates. On Friday, the court ruled that frozen embryos created through in vitro fertilization, or IVF, are legally children and thus protected. The designation of personhood could have significant repercussions for reproductive rights.
This is an insane thing to do on like so many levels. So many levels. It's so insane. For all of the people in Alabama that want to get in vitro pregnant, for all of those people, they are now possibly suspects in a murder case because they use their eggs and their sperm or someone else's sperm to fertilize eggs, and now they have hundreds of little babies under this law which are never going to be born. How long does a frozen frozen ham, frozen turkey, frozen embryo last? 10 years and even longer. So let's take the short end of that, 10 years. Alabama has put a 10-year ticking time bomb in every hospital that does IVF. And when will my count as children? Asking for tax purposes, true. It's just so fucking crazy. Once again, we have to rely on wine moms to save us. Yeah, they're like the wine moms who are like on their 14th marriage in Alabama who are trying to get IVF pregnant. Now they're going to get...
Stephanie Tsai looks at the questions raised by this ruling.
William, this issue made its way.
Like, think about, I just want to like preempt it. I want to see how many of these issues are legitimate concerns. Like, one, if they fertilize these eggs, are all of these now legally children under the law? Are all of these embryos that are not going to end up being fertilized going to be counted as murders? 2, who is the murderer? Who is the murderer in this case? 3, did they think of the implications when they made this decision? Obviously they didn't, because Republicans don't think, because they don't have a functional brain. They do not have fully functional brains. I used to, like, I can empathize with so many types of people. I can empathize with leftists. I can empathize with with regular ass conservatives. I can empathize with people who shout pro Palestinian shit. I can empathize with it, even if I disagree or think that they're. But I can empathize. I can understand where they're coming from. This level of extremist, like anti-abortion shit that they do, I'll never understand, and I will never be able to empathize with them. I just genuinely think they're just unintelligent. They're just stupid. They're just not smart. The people who passed this law or this judgment, and the people that pushed for them to make this ruling, I don't know how they leave their house without a handler and a helmet to make sure that they don't bonk their soft little head.
Way to Alabama's Supreme Court after 3 families sued when their frozen embryos were taken from a clinic and then accidentally destroyed. They sued under the state's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act. Alabama's high.
And I can empathize with those people for being upset. And there should be massive, there has to be like some middle ground. There's like, I can't believe I'm using this as an example. There's a Law and Order SVU episode about this from like 2008. Okay. And it was actually interesting on a schlocky shit ass TV show. Okay. The legal arguments going back and forth. That was at least a little interesting. Because they were saying, well, we can't really, get them for murder on this because they're trying to find the strongest case that they could. Like, should we consider these? No, because then everyone, like, in 2008, a soy lib-ass shit schlocky, primetime television show that's been running for 30 years understood the implications of prosecuting someone for this better than the Alabama Supreme Court. I can understand the family suing for that. If 10 years pass, should a hospital be allowed to throw them out? I see, this is where I'm at. There's probably some kind of, and I thought about this the other day when I first heard about this ruling. There's probably got to be some legal designation for things that are more emotionally important to a person. There's got to be. I want to debate you on your anti-religious position. Hold on. What do you think my position is before I jump into a call with you and argue with you about this? But really quick, there's got to be some designation for different there's got to be some positions that religion matters. I think that if these people didn't have a religious argument, they would struggle really, really hard to justify these kinds of rulings. I think that they would struggle to find justification for a lot of their anti-LGBT stuff. I think that, that's where it is. And also, fundamentally, I don't think that we should have a country that is being run by wannabe theocrats. But let me get through this, and then maybe we'll jump into a call, okay? But there's got to be a designation for property of human beings that is unquantifiable by any monetary compensation. That's the only thing that I can think of. There are some items that people have that are so priceless to them that to steal or to destroy them should be worse than them just breaking a lamp in their house. Right? The problem is you're trying to rationalize this. No, because this is legitimate, right? Putting someone away for theft and destruction of property when that might have been your last chance to have a child, fundamentally altering the plans that you have for the rest of your life on something that is as intrinsic to the human condition as having a child. It is a legitimate thing to think about, right? Here's the judge citing scripture. Oh.
And joining me now to talk more about this is NBC senior investigative reporter Mike Hickson. So Mike, in his concurring opinion, the Chief Justice Tom Parker makes explicit references to the Bible. Tell us a little bit more.
The odds of that happening is like hitting the lottery. Again, like, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a policymaker. I don't know if there are things that I don't like. I don't know what I don't know. So there might be some designation for some kinds of property that are like that. I don't know. But like, a frozen embryo is going to be different fundamentally. Losing that as a result of someone else's negligence or malicious intent is going to be different than them stealing money from you, which can be recovered. It's going to be different from them even stealing an heirloom from you, which can be either monetarily or criminally, like someone could be criminally prosecuted for that, But like, on something as like fundamental to someone's being, right, and their self-concept of their place in the world, as taking away their possibly last chance to have a child that shares their like genes, if that's something that matters to them, which it matters to a lot of people. I feel like there should be some kind of legal designation for property like that, right? Where it's not a human life, because I don't think that an embryo is a human life, but it's depriving the person. One sec, I need to mute. Hello? Yeah, I didn't mute because the call ended too fast. Okay, I'm gonna have to start leaving here in a second, guys. But let's see if we can get through this, maybe.
Order Mike Hickson, boss. So Mike, in his concurring opinion, the Chief Justice Tom Parker makes explicit references to the Bible. Tell us a little bit more about this justice and why his personal religious beliefs are reflected in this ruling.
Well, you see from that clip there, Justice Parker has not been shy about expressing his view that America was founded as a Christian nation, whose laws should be rooted in a conservative evangelical interpretation of the Bible. And so you see that reflected in his opinion as he cites nearly 24 times scripture for justifying.
Yeah, this, like, Tron, this is what I'm talking about. If you use scripture, you should be disbarred. You should be taken from any office. You should be just destroyed politically. No fight then? No, unfortunately, like, I'm gonna have to finish this video and then maybe we can try and get through some of this, but like I have to go.
The court's decision that embryos should be given the same rights as.
I'm gonna try and finish out this segment, so edit all of this out. All right.
Living children. And so he writes that Alabama has adopted a theological, in his opinion, as he cites nearly 24 times scripture for justifying the court's decision that embryos should be given the same rights as living children. And so he writes that Alabama has adopted a theological interpretation of life, a theological description of life. And therefore we must look to the book of Genesis, which says all men are created in God's image. And so when you put those two together, you must conclude that, no life can be destroyed without incurring the wrath of a holy God. And according to the court, that includes unborn embryos.
Yeah, and I mean, we are definitely seeing a rise in Christian nationalism on the national political stage. Does it look like it's just becoming more intertwined with Republican politics?
I think it's first really quick important to define that term because we're hearing it a lot. Yeah. Christian nationalism doesn't mean that the idea that Christians should want to see their views reflected in policy. It's the idea. I point to the definition that Congresswoman Lauren Boebert gave, which is the idea that the church is meant to direct the government. The separation of church and state is a myth cooked up by progressives, and so what we're seeing is that idea, the Seven Mountains Mandate, as you mentioned, becoming embraced within the center of.
Well, I don't believe in the death penalty either, CDN.
GOP politics and really proliferating in the years since Donald Trump rose to power and was kind of seen as an unlikely hero among what was once kind of seen as a fringe sect of American evangelicalism.
And we do see some Republicans attempting to distance themselves.
God, look, this guy looks like Harry Potter. I don't know how seriously I can take him. Okay, we're going to try and blast through this because I have to end the stream here in a second.
High Court asserted the law applies to all children, born and unborn, including, to the shock of many, frozen embryos. Today, the University of Alabama Birmingham Health System said it is pausing IVF procedures because of a fear of prosecution. For more, I'm joined by Mary Ziegler, a legal historian and expert on reproduction and healthcare. Mary, thank you, as always, for being with the NewsHour. About 2% of...
Yeah, the embryo and the thumbnail should be a dolphin embryo. See how similar they look? Just use the dolphin embryo, bro.
Of all babies born in this country are conceived through assisted reproductive technology. What are the concerns about how this decision will affect reproductive rights and options?
Well, I think the decision casts a shadow on a lot of options that usually are available through IVF. So, for example, if people have extra embryos, they can no longer be destroyed. They can no longer be donated for research in Alabama. It's not even clear what the legality of storing them would be, or if potentially they'll need to be implanted. And then there's just the simple fact, as we've seen with the University of Alabama at Birmingham, the threat that if embryos are inadvertently damaged or destroyed, that could lead to lawsuits or even to criminal prosecutions, which I think is going to have a tremendous chilling effect on fertility care in the state.
Mary, I want to read an excerpt from the Chief Justice's concurring opinion. The people of Alabama, he says, have declared the public...
Like, what are you supposed to... What do the doctors do here? Do they, like, send them out of state and then whatever happens to them so that they don't get criminally prosecuted?
Policy of this state to be that unborn human life is sacred. We believe that each human being from the moment of conception is made in the image of God, created by him to reflect his likeness. So the Chief Justice there invoking scripture from the Bible in a legal ruling. What is your take on that?
Well, I think this is a sign of the ascendance of the Christian legal movement, which I think is distinct from what we're used to thinking of, right? It's not the Federalist Society. It's part of a conservative legal movement that asserts that the Constitution is a Christian document, that the nation is a Christian nation, and that there should be no daylight really between church and state when it comes to interpretation of the law. And the Chief Justice was making the point that in his view, the people of Alabama have already embraced that position. It's striking to see this in a court ruling, right? This is not coming from a social movement, and I think it'll shift the Overton window and make it more likely that we'll see more language of this kind from other courts.
The Overton, of course, being what overturned Roe v. Wade. We spoke to an OBGYN and fertility specialist, Dr. Amy Avazadeh, about this, and she said she is horrified by this decision and what it will mean.
Embryos are precious cells. They're very precious. They have the potential to turn into a baby. The potential. But an embryo is not a child, is not a baby. They have a chance to become one. But anyone who knows even the smallest bit about IVF knows that an embryo is a chance for a baby. The concern here is that patients who are doing testing in Alabama, they might be forced to use embryos that they didn't want to use. They might not be allowed to freeze embryos, and they might have to transfer everything they have. It might change how you do IVF, where people will be freezing eggs and only creating embryos enough to transfer so they have none left over. Or what we're seeing now, IVF is going to halt completely.
Those are some of the concerns that you also brought up. But 11 states have passed laws defining personhood as beginning at fertilization.
I'm not going to be able to finish this video. This is what I think. First off, this is... She needs to explain why it's not a baby. She's a doctor, not a politician. She's just going to say what is part of her field, okay? But this is what I think. I think with all of the AI that we have, okay, someone should start work on some kind of alternate reality generator where someone can plug in their every political wish and desire and then see how that plays out in a society. Because the thing that I've said for a while, and I don't know if I've said this on stream, I wish that people, I like, on one hand, I just wish the Republicans got every single thing that they want and then had to live in that shithole country for like 10 years and they get blasted back and compare and contrast how good we have it versus what they want. And I want the same thing for the stupid commies. I want the same things for all of these people that are extremists. I just wish they were forced to live in the shithole realities that they want to create. I want the conservatives to see all of the pain that they cause as a result of their, like, literally picosecond of thought into any given topic, any topic, a picosecond of thought, like, ooh, bad, gross, trans, gross, ooh, gross. And then just like see how their decisions affect other people. I would love to see how a Republican responds to a world where doctors are being locked up for trying to help people have children, not even aborting them. To see the irreparable damage that a 14-year-old who hooked up with someone who was 23 is forced to have their kid. Any person who, any woman who is in an abusive relationship and gets trapped in it because they got pregnant, I wish that they had to witness it. They were forced to. Like Clockwork Orange style, Ludovico technique. I genuinely wish that the people that want to impose their shit-ass worldview on other people like this had to live through the hell that they want to create. I wish that every single one of these people, to quote another political streamer, I wish that every single day for the rest of their life is as bad as every day that preceded it. I wish the worst for these people. And with that, I have to leave. Thanks, Tron. I appreciate it. All right. I do got to go. I apologize. I do not want to go, but I have a obligation that I have to go and pick someone up. All right. So I'm going to raid you guys over to JSTLKJ Stalk, the memer, the creamer, the drama streamer. All right. I love you guys very much. Play the meme as an outro. Okay. It better be super quick. Okay. I'm good. Okay. I'm raiding you guys over to JStalk. I love you guys. All right. You guys go make a ruckus over there. Okay. 16 seconds. It better be 16 seconds. I've seen this. You know what? That is a good way to go out. All right. I love you guys. Go make a ruckus on JStalk stream. Bye-bye.